The end of the Cold War in 1989 to 91 marked a new era in international relations. The bipolar world of the Cold War had been replaced by a more complex and diverse international system. The collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War ushered in a new era of international relations characterized by the emergence of a new set of global powers and the emergence of regional and global organizations. The United Nations, the European Union, the World Trade Organization, and the World Bank are just a few of the organizations that have become increasingly influential in the post-Cold War era. The end of the Cold War also saw a shift in the way states interact with each other. The Cold War had been characterized by a zero-sum game, where the two superpowers sought to gain the upper hand in the international system. In the post-Cold War era, states increasingly sought to cooperate and collaborate in order to achieve their goals. This shift has led to a more peaceful and prosperous world, as states have sought to resolve their differences through diplomacy and negotiation rather than through military force. It has also led to an increase in international trade and investment, as states have sought to take advantage of the opportunities presented by globalization. The Cold War had a significant impact on the way civil society has developed in the modern world. The ideological divide between the two superpowers of the United States and the Soviet Union had a profound effect on the way civil society was viewed and treated in the countries of the world. The United States championed the cause of democracy, while the Soviet Union sought to impose its own version of socialism. This ideological divide had a lasting effect on civil society, with countries around the world either embracing the ideals of democracy or embracing the ideals of socialism. The legacy of the Cold War on civil society can still be seen today. Human rights are now seen as a fundamental part of any civil society and are enshrined in the constitutions of many countries. In addition, the idea of democracy has been embraced by many countries around the world, with citizens being given the right to vote and to participate in the political process. The Cold War had a profound impact on the global nuclear arms situation. In the decades since the end of the Cold War, the number of nuclear weapons in the world has decreased significantly. This is largely due to the efforts of the United States and the Soviet Union to reduce their stockpiles of nuclear weapons. The two superpowers also signed a number of treaties, such as the Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START, which further limited their nuclear arsenals. The Cold War also had a significant impact on the way nuclear weapons are used and viewed. During the Cold War, the threat of nuclear war was a constant presence, and the idea of mutually assured destruction was a major factor in the way the two superpowers interacted. Today, the use of nuclear weapons is seen as a last resort, and the international community is working to reduce the number of nuclear weapons in the world. This has been made possible by the end of the Cold War and the subsequent reduction in tension between the two superpowers. The end of the Cold War brought about a new world order. The bipolar system of the Cold War, which had been characterized by the two superpowers of the United States and the Soviet Union, was replaced by a multipolar system, with the emergence of new powers such as China, India, and Brazil. This shift in the global balance of power has had a major impact on the international system, with the United States and Russia no longer being the only two major international players. The geopolitical changes that have occurred since the end of the Cold War have had far-reaching implications. The rise of new powers has led to increased competition between nations, and the emergence of regional blocs such as the European Union and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has further complicated the international system. In addition, the period following the Cold War has seen the emergence of new security threats such as terrorism and cyber warfare, which have necessitated a new approach to international security. The fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 marked the end of a long and difficult era in German history. The reunification of East and West Germany in 1990 was a momentous occasion, and the effects of this event are still felt today.
The reunification of Germany has had a profound impact on the country, both economically and politically. The economic effects of the fall of the Berlin Wall have been significant. The reunification of Germany has led to an increase in economic growth, with the country now having one of the strongest economies in the world. This has allowed Germany to become a major player in the global economy and has helped to create a more prosperous and stable society. Politically, the reunification of Germany has also had a significant impact. The country has become a more unified and democratic nation and has been able to take a more active role in international affairs. The fall of the Berlin Wall has also had a major impact on the way that Germans view themselves and their place in the world.
The Cold War had a profound effect on global trade and commerce. The US-Soviet rivalry led to the creation of two distinct economic blocs, with each side attempting to outcompete the other in terms of production and exports. This resulted in increased competition between East and West, as well as an arms race that saw both sides investing heavily in military technology. Additionally, the ideological divide between capitalism and communism meant that certain countries were denied access to markets or resources due to their political affiliations. This period also saw a dramatic shift towards globalization, with many countries opening up their economies for international investment and trade. This allowed businesses from different parts of the world to collaborate more easily than ever before, leading to increased economic growth across multiple regions. However, this process was not without its drawbacks. Several former Soviet nations experienced significant corruption, as people took advantage of the crumbling of the state structure to grab assets for themselves. Others faced environmental degradation caused by unchecked industrialization. Despite these issues, it is clear that the end of the Soviet Union saw a significant increase in living standards for almost all of its former inhabitants. The Cold War had a significant impact on popular culture, as it provided a backdrop for a variety of works of art, literature, and film. In particular, the Cold War was a major source of inspiration for science fiction and spy thrillers, which often featured themes of espionage, nuclear war, and the struggle between the two superpowers. For example, many of the James Bond films focus on the Cold War as a central theme. Writers and filmmakers used the Cold War as a way to explore the human condition and to examine the consequences of unchecked power and paranoia. The Cold War also had a major influence on the music of the time, with many artists writing songs about the conflict and its implications. Rock and roll in particular was used as a way to express the anxieties of the era, with many songs exploring themes of alienation, fear, and the search for freedom. In addition, many musicians wrote songs that were explicitly anti-war, and that sought to raise awareness of the dangers of nuclear weapons and the arms race. The Cold War thus had a profound impact on popular culture, and its legacy can still be seen in the works of art and music of today. The Cold War left a lasting legacy on the world, one that is still felt today. The most visible example of this is the division of Europe into two distinct societies. The Iron Curtain, which was a physical and ideological barrier between the two sides of Europe, arguably still exists. The countries that were part of the Soviet Union have not been able to fully recover from the economic and social upheaval caused by the Cold War. Even today, many of these countries are struggling with poverty, corruption, and political instability. The Cold War also had a profound effect on the global economy. The United States and the Soviet Union competed for economic and military supremacy, leading to a period of intense economic competition. This competition resulted in the creation of the World Trade Organization, which has been instrumental in regulating international trade. The Cold War also saw the creation of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, which have been instrumental in providing economic assistance to developing countries. The Cold War has also had a lasting impact on international relations, with the United States and Russia
still competing for influence in the world.
The Cold War had a major influence on the way elections and policies were shaped in the decades that followed. As a result of the Cold War, governments around the world became increasingly focused on security and defense. This led to a shift in political power away from traditional political parties and towards those that were more focused on military and defense issues. In addition, the Cold War also caused a rise in the amount of military and defense-related spending. The Cold War also had a significant impact on the way governments interacted with each other. The Cold War created a sense of mistrust between countries, which led to a decrease in international cooperation and an increase in international tensions. This mistrust and tension between countries also caused governments to become more focused on their own defense and security, along with investing in espionage agencies.
While the Cold War came to an end with the demise of the Soviet Union, the environment it created has continued to shape contemporary conflicts. In recent geopolitics, this has become truer than ever. In fact, some would argue that the Cold War has returned. In 2021, the period of relative peace that followed the end of the Soviet Union came to an end as Russia invaded Ukraine. The war in Ukraine is in many ways a proxy war between Russia and the West. While the USSR is no more, the Cold War may be rearing its head once more as Putin's Russia seeks to expand its global influence by force, and the US and its allies seeks to contain it. If you enjoyed this video and are still not subscribed, please consider it, as it really helps me out a lot. Thank you.